without the sake. Needs to go together. So you create something interesting and you start, making the people be more close to the sake culture. And maybe it's a way that they change his mind and start loving sake.
I like this point for sommelier. It's a very good education point to understand that to sell sake to the customer in a restaurant, you need to have more than 4 or 5 sake on the wine list. Why? Because it will give them a lot of possibility, and it will show that you know about sake. You are a real sake lover. It's difficult to show that you're a sake lover with 4 sake on the wine list, on a sake list. So I like this point, and the link to the food. This is so much important because how many times people told me, oh, I don't like white wine. So, but then they taste a white wine with a matching that we've been suggesting, like you do. And people, then they come back and say, wow, I never liked Riesling, but today I drink Riesling because I have the good food to go with. So sake is the same.
Absolutely. I think, especially with cultures like, or countries like wine producing countries like Spain or maybe Italy, France, that have more or less the same kind of philosophy regarding sake. I think it is very important to make the people be close to the sake on an easy way. An easy way is just to, as you say, to combine food with sake. And you have a lot of different combinations and you have a lot of different possibilities. As you say, if you have only 4 labels of sake, is nothing. And even, what I love is, working with a producer or with a cura, and then have many different labels from this cura, because it's the best way to show the style of the producer. And it's the same on the wine. Is, imagine if, for example, you work with Viña Tondonia, let's say, and you only have one wine from Viña Tondonia, you are not showing the real kind of philosophy of the winery. So that's why it's better maybe to have a white, a red, the rosé, have different vintages and all of this stuff, so people can understand perfectly what the style of the producer. And with the sake, it's the same. It's like you have maybe his Namasake and you have his Koshu and maybe his Junmai Dajinjo. So that's why you can really see the style of the producer, the rice that they use, and of course the style. And I think it's much more interesting. And a sake list can be alive. I mean, you can be changing the sake list each, year or each 6 months. So that's why you have more kind of variation.
How did you build the different sake lists of the different restaurants you've been working with? And you still, so you for sure, there's always the sake you like, the sake that's bring you a complete new experience, I imagine. But it is linked also to the cuisine of the restaurant, to different menu of the restaurant. How did you try to imagine the sake list?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, and it's the same when you are building a wine list. I mean, you need to see and you need to understand the philosophy of the project regarding, of course, the kitchen, regarding, of course, how the possibilities are, because it's, I think, pairings, sake pairings, wine pairings change a lot on the last years, and it's all about, because maybe 10 years ago we was thinking to find a sake or to find a wine for a specific dish, but now the rules are changing. It's like maybe you can do the opposite. You have the sake, so you build a dish because of the sake, or maybe you can do everything together on a much more emotional kind of aspect. And I think that's the point.
And what's the basic, just to give some clue, basic clue for the people, say, okay, you have, how can you build, creating a dish, building a matching sake and food with, let's say, two very popular category, a Junmai Daigenjo and a Junmai. So how do you work that in general? I will talk very general because there's so many different Junmai, so many different Junmai Daigenjo, but there's like a path to go on the style of those sake.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, on my personal opinion, I think that to make pairings with sake, I find the affinities much more interesting than contrast. For me, an affinity is perfect to combine with sake. And for example, you have like,
yes,
on photo, on the picture, you have like, and of course, which is something interesting, maybe it's not only to use one sake, maybe you can use more. and think on the creation and create on the dish in 1, 2, 3 bites. So 1, 2, 3 sakes, which is something very interesting. It's a way that in one dish, in one pass, you can, you know, show people a lot of references and a lot of styles. And regarding, as you say, Junmaya Jinjo, I always thinking that you need to have something in common. Maybe you can work with the history sometimes. You can work with the affinities regarding rice-based creation on the dish, which is always is going to combine. So on this picture that you have now, this is something beautiful. And because we are speaking about Jerez, and look, you have 2 bites, a sake and a wine. So you have a koshu, 1996 from the Dorigagua, which is very interesting actually. And then you have a more than 100 years old on cask palo cortado from Sanlúcar de Barrameda. So both cultures are not very common in our country, in Spain. So a very good way to share the culture is to combine 2 cultures that have a lot of things in common, as Japanese one and Sanlúcar Jerez one. So that we do is a very classic dish from Andalusia is the aubergine with honey. Fried aubergine with honey is one of the most classic and traditional dishes there.
Yes, and then, it's so good. Eggplant, huh? Eggplant with honey is like just as good as the Japanese do with miso and soya sauce with the same eggplant. You know, 2 different culture, but this is very good. Yeah. So you can go ahead because very inspiring matching here.
And then on the right side you have a nigiri. Let's say classic nigiri, but all of the rice that we use was Yamada Nishiki, polished at 50%. So our base is like a rice. I mean, it's a rice which is used to do sake. And on this way that we do is trying to think that maybe we can use this kind of rice to do sake on the food kind of combination. So the classic dish from Andalusia, which is the eggplant with honey, we are going to combine with the koshu, with the 96 koshu. Why? Because it's all about kind of emotional thinking and emotional combination regarding cultures. And then the second bite, which is the nigiri, is a smoked eel nigiri. We are going to combine with the palo cortado because the smoked eel, it is very powerful and have a lot of aromas and molecules. So I think that molecules can match very well with the molecules that you can find on a very, very old palo cortado. So in this case, you do 2 things. First, you are matching, sake, on this case, a koshu, and you are matching with the palo cortado as well. But at the same time, you are saying to people, you know what? You have these bites. We propose these combinations. And it's more about we are making the people have the chance to meet other cultures. And this is always beautiful. It's like this kind of emotional part that makes sense.
It's amazing métissage of, blending culture. So by making a match with the eggplant, the traditional from Andalusia, but matching it with the sake, koshu, and making the smoked eel, which is so traditional in Japan, matching with the palo cortado, and adapting both for sure for the occasion, for the different molecules, structure of the sake, of the palo cortado, but at the end, it's crossing culture with two products that are similar but far away at the same time. So this is captured so well your work for me. I know your work. This is captured so well the way you think, the way you work, how you always try to blend culture, history. When we read, people will be able to read your text. Right after this masterclass, people can go on the Tanaka web at the Sakegraphy masterclass, Sakepedia. They will be able to read the text, more detail about what we talked today, a lot of detail. But when you read about that, say, okay, when I do my matching, sake and food, I like to be inspired by culture, by history. So it doesn't show totally your deep intention since we see the picture or we eat, because the real thing is there now. Now we can capture your text totally and your feeling about using let's say the geography landscape of the matching. It's very interesting.
Thank you very much.
No, for sure. Maybe, yeah, go ahead. You want to say, yeah.
I was saying that it's a beautiful way to not just doing a matching, it's not just getting deeper, regarding, as you say, history, culture, and all of this stuff. Oh, wow, this is something very...
This is very interesting also. Yeah, I'll let you talk because, yeah.
This is all about texture. And, you know, I was thinking that in sake, sometimes has more finish than a champagne. So that's why I was trying to find like a luxury product, let's say, to put in value sake. You need to, I mean, it's like when you do a wine pairing or a sake pairing, and 1, 2, 3 wines, 1, 2, 3 sakes needs to be outstanding, need to be top of the top, because of these sakes and wines top of the top, you make value to the whole wine or sake pairing. So on this case that we do is we are going to use caviar, very good caviar, and this is like a texture kind of game. So you have 3 different sakes: nigori, non-filtered, namasake, non-pasteurized, and then you have a junmai. So the thing is, you have the 3 different styles. So a very good way to put the 3 on the same lineup is to combine with 3 bites that was all about texture. And this is because, you know, when you drink sake, it's like that you are drinking silk. It is like a silky texture on your palate that you can combine with a silky texture on your palate coming from food. So
I was about to say that because when I listen you many times talking about sake and reading what you've been writing about sake, and you always talk about sake. It's a world of texture. It's a world of silk, of softness, of subtlety and texture. So, and when we read about sake history, sake used and still a malt product. You know, now it's became also an aromatic product because we serve it in wine glasses. We are able to get the aroma out working with the glass, and also the way the young generation making the sake, they are much more aromatic than they used to be. But they were mostly malt product before because of the umami, the silk texture, and this captured totally what you always said and everything I've been reading and reading about you. And at the same time, the story of sake. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And on this case, as you say, it's just only texture combined with texture. But of course, looking for something really interesting. So for example, if you see this kind of crispy bread bite, it is a crispy bread. The butter is a caviar butter. And then on top, it is something very interesting as well. Has grapes. When they are babies, it's like the clusters that they are babies, that they are supposed in the future to be wine, but on this time it was only for like a second of a lot of amazing things on your palate. It is very intense, and for me texture is very similar to sake, a bit more crispy. So you have the crispy bread, caviar butter, and then this kind of baby cluster grapes combined with the nigori. Is white and white combination, let's say. The second one, which is the nama. Namas used to have a bit more acidity, or at least the sensation of acidity is higher. So
yes.
Bone marrow, which is only texture, has not too much flavor, it's just texture. It is bone marrow with caviar, just bite, drink. And then the last one, it's a Kobe, which is a classic from Japan. And this Kobe comes straight from Japan. Beautiful and amazing quality. This is from the junmai, because always junmai is like a bit more easy to drink, much more aromatic, and all of these things. So Kobe is all about texture as well. And then it has a bit of this kind of baby cluster grapes, and this is the combination for the junmai. And if you see that, it's a way to combine 3 dishes, 3 sakes. But of course, it's the way to put in value the sake world.
And at the same time, people learn about the difference and different sake. And without learning, without having the feeling as they being educated in a restaurant, because we don't go to restaurant for education. We go to a restaurant for a good moment of sharing with the people you are eating, sharing with the chef, the waiter, the sommelier, the MD. It's all about that. But at the end, by serving 3 sake, 3 different kinds with 3 different matching, people are learning because they can experiment the differences, subtle difference sometimes. For sure, Nigori and Junmai is both worlds. But with Nama in the middle, oh, okay, now you learn a lot without having the impression of learning. So this is a great skill of a sommelier. That's what sommelier should be. And the way the sommelier should work in a restaurant is giving information to the customer, to the people without giving. It's just living, we are living in a new world where people are looking for new experiences and storytelling. And this is all about experiences, new experiences and storytelling. So, and we learn so much with that. Kobe beef, sometimes sommelier and everyone is looking, wine lover, sake lover, will be the match. Junmai is the best match with Kobe beef and Wagyu beef. It's so amazing. So, and caviar, there's been so much writing about caviar. It's difficult to match caviar. You know, vodka could be very good, but it's more about the impact of the powerfulness of the alcohol. But and serve very cold. Champagne, you need to do a lot of tests to find the right champagne that will go with the right caviar. But sake is very interesting. It's maybe, I think on my side, is the best match with caviar is sake. So, and you prove it here with the narrow bone. Again, it's very interesting. It's the Mar et Montagne at the same time, narrow bone and caviar.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it's like we can go even further because we used to combine some seafood usually with champagne. And you know, I was working with a sake, sparkling sake made by Matsumi from the Nagano prefecture, which is traditional method. And when you try that, it's something out of this world. It is amazing. The acidity perception is very high. And you even, because when you drink this kind of glass, you are thinking on salinity and all of this stuff. And I think that it is quite interesting to combine this kind of sake with oysters. Maybe you can use like a raw oyster. You can put a bit of maybe lemon jelly or something like that to give a bit of kind of citrusy to the bite. And then using a sake like Masumi, being like a sparkling sake, traditional fermentation. And I think this kind of combination could be even better than champagne.
And I think it's one of the best, if not the best sparkling sake existing. Nicolas, you have tasted also on the sake? Nicolas Rocher.
Yeah, this is me. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, there is no two. Yeah, no, that's an amazing one. And this is also for me the texture of the bubble. You know, this is maybe the only sake to get this really texture of the bubble, this subtlety, because it's really hard in sake. We know like a lot of gas is using, and this is not cultural. They try to improve a lot since with the Olympic Games coming, like the sparkling sake was making a little bit a boom for the Olympic Games. So it's gonna be better and better year after year for sure. But it's quite amazing. And I'm totally agree with you, like oyster and sake was maybe my best emotion between wine and sake. Frankly speaking, usually we say Chablis wine is amazing because of the soil and the story. But I think the texture we get the sake with oyster when we are talking about the true oysters, that means a little bit like a steak when you are matching this oyster and you got these nuts at the end and salinity. For me, sake and texture are amazing with oyster, and we tasted last week with François.
Yeah, the Tanaka Junmai Blend 001 with oyster, big oyster from France. That's amazing, totally. It's a temperature a little bit higher, like 16 degrees. And this kind of Riedel Montrachet black tie wine glass is just perfect. It's like the glass for this kind of sake. What is we just left 3 minutes because it's always 30 minutes masterclass. You know, we try to give most information. As is the last masterclass before the end of the year. Will be. I didn't tell you about that. It will be interesting. People will eat some foie gras, some cannelon, some smoked salmon before the end of the year. You have any suggestion of style of sake that will go well with those kind of dish? Will be interesting.
Yeah, you know, Francois, and interesting that I would love to have more references is the kihoshu. I mean, the kihoshu, the sweet packets. And
Yes.
they have like a lot of umami. It's like full of umami. And even if you find even something older, and they are not very, very sweet. So that's why
Yeah.
I would love to try this Christmas, kind of a bit of foie gras, maybe raw foie gras, or not cooked. I mean, like a mi-cuit style with this kind of koshu with a bit of age, and I think that could be something amazing. So I have the look.
1999, Biden.
Oh, wow,
This is very
wow, that's
good.
beautiful.
And
That's
also
beautiful.
Tamagawa. Tamagawa, this is being bottled in 2013, but
Wow.
age and room temperature. So cold, warm, bang, 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 bang. So completely evolved yeah. Yes, this is not a koshu. This is a blend 001. But it will become in 5 or 10 years from now like a koshu. Why? Because it's got these subtle molecules that will become with time. It's one of the rare junmai that could age in bottle for 5 to 10 years. So hopefully we'll see. I don't have a crystal ball, but I have my own nose who tell me, and Nicolas knows who tell us that this sake might age a long, long time. So yes. So thank you so much. We could talk for hours. I think we will re-invite you next year. So pretty soon to do another one. We find another subject. The people who want to know more about, you go on Tanaka web, Tanaka 1789 Chartier web, you're going to see sakegraphy. You go on Sakepedia, the text of Guillermo is there, a full complete text where he explains the way he thinks, the way he goes when he tries to create dish. It's not only about matching sake with food, it's about creating dish. To go with sake, inspired by sake. It's very interesting. So, and we hope everyone will be there on we will come back in January, 11th of January. Yeah, exactly. We will have a special guest also on the 11th of January, another sommelier. I don't tell you who it is. So be there with us.
It's a friend of you, Guillermo. You're going to know, but it's a friend of you. We cannot say anything yet. You know him everywhere.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Guillermo. Muchísimas gracias por el tiempo. Really, really appreciate the sharing, the text you've done for us. There will be a text also on Some 360. We are one of the important partner of 360. When I say we, I talk about Chartier and I talk about Tanaka X Chartier. We have created a fund for sommelier, and we are also posting text there, and Guillermo accept to do a text, 1-2 text, I don't remember, for us. So this will be on Some 360 pretty soon. They'll go see there. There's a lot of information on sake. So, and just wish you everyone Kampai, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and most of important thing, be safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much, everyone. Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato. Thank you very much.
Arigato.